got two guys earn much deserved Player of the Week honors. Can you speak on both those guys?
Well, yeah, for Jared, it's really neat. That guy's come in, worked really hard last year when we redshirted him. Great buy-in factor, and really took care of his body over the summer. Put a lot of time and effort in, and he's one of those guys that has been in the program now, and kind of been a depth guy, and worked his way up and got the opportunity to play and play at a high level in a big game and did a fantastic job. And Devon, just a fantastic effort. When we needed him to really carry the ball with some really good run boxes the other night and finish off a game, did a fantastic job in the screen game also. And so, it's neat when guys work hard, prepare the right way, and are real coachable and good teammates. It's neat when they can get some recognition out there for sure.
You went heavy with pay. Was that just a game plan, or is that what you saw against them?
Yeah, it was all game plan issue. We knew going in there was going to be probably two different run concepts that we really thought that we could get after them with a little bit, and then there was going to be some pass game concepts all paired up together. And so once we got the certain looks we wanted, that was just kind of where it went to.
How big of an asset is it to have a guy not only who can run the ball like Devon can, but to come out of the back and catch it?
Well, that's the whole thing. I've always said that. When you run the air raid offense, you have to have a great tailback. If you go into this deal thinking, well, it's going to be the four wide receivers and a quarterback, no, you're going to be hurting. You got to be able to run the ball, and especially when they play coverage. We saw a lot of cover four the other night, especially when we were in doubles, a ton of cover four, and so it was a five-man box. It was just kind of how we were going to control the nickel player or the will linebacker into the boundary. And so that was real important for us. And you've got to have that guy. You've got to make him decide, who you're going to be. Are you going to be a six-man box or a seven-man front defense, or what are you going to do? And so when you got a great tailback like Devon, and then you're starting to get these quarterbacks kind of seeing the whole picture, it really helps.
Go ahead.
We saw Ben out there again. Ethan healthy, or is that just
change? Ethan's healthy, and we'll see where he's at this week. He looked good yesterday throwing and the whole deal, so we just got to kind of keep moving forward.
You impressed week by week by what Ben's doing?
I really am. Right from the beginning, I was impressed with him, just for the simple fact that he'd been away from the game a little bit, kind of out of shape, and so when he kind of got back going and got in the weight room and just throwing. That was my concern. Could he handle the throwing and the amount of throwing? Would he lose his arm strength and things like that? And it actually seems like it's gotten a little stronger. Volume of plays, no, not really. He played in the same offense, and for the most part, a lot of the same terminology. And so it was really just kind of getting him back up to speed of being a player again.
After the game, you said something along the lines of Ben's getting more comfortable checking in and out of plays, and he's got that kind of freedom to do that. Are you getting more comfortable as a play caller with him, having that ability to kind of check out of things?
No, not really. We threw it all on him right away. That's just part of the offense. And so where Ben and Ethan and all the quarterbacks, for the most part, ones, twos, and threes get the same amount of reps every day in practice. So they get the same script. A lot of places, the one gets 100% of the plays, the twos might get 50 to 60%, and the three might only get 10. But our ones, twos, and threes get 100% of the plays every week. And so really, and even the fourth guy, summer practice from screens to Skelly and all that, our fours get all the same amount of reps, and they're all working with each other. So the timing of this situation from route structure, play design, and stuff like that was real simple for him, because he's been working with the top 9 receivers and running backs the whole season. And so really there was no reason not to throw it all on him. The whole thing for him is not getting lost with the disguise coverages and some things like that they were doing a little bit. That's the picture he hasn't seen. That's more it's not the plays. You just got to throw them out there and let them go. And because what will end up happening if you do that, then you're just hamstringing everybody else. He's got to be able to play under the fire and put the time in the film room and things like that to be successful, which he did. So it was pretty simple in that end.
You kind of jumped on Midwestern fast. Is the same game plan kind of taking effect for this week down at Commerce? You want to get going fast?
Well, I think our tempo of play early has been really good, except for one game. We go back and look at the Kingsville game, and even in that, there was 3 plays in there that if we hit a shallow and hit an open guy in zero coverage, you're looking at 14 points. So the first quarter of that game, we were going to start pretty quick also. So, no, it's just kind of our, hopefully that's who we are. We can get playing quick and the whole thing. And, some of it's going to be dictated by the defense, of course. But, that's what you're always looking for, is hopefully get them going early.
In this game, is it Do you look forward more to your offense or your defense to against their offense?
No, I think it's all three. You know, they got a great kick returner. You know, their punt returner, kick returner guys are doing a fantastic job. The most important thing for us offensively is ball security. Those guys are creating a ton of turnovers. Their defensive unit is stripping the ball, getting strip sacks and some things like that, which Decent always does a good job of coaching that up. And so for me, it's more, you know, take care of the ball, you know, but, you know, it's tempo of play, the whole thing. And then, you know, defensively, we got to stop the run. They got a great tailback just like last week. And so we're going to have to tackle well again. And that's the toughest thing. You got to play well in space against these guys, you know, and so you got to tackle and take care of that.
Coach, the stat that stood out to me from the Midwestern game was 4 penalties, only 4 penalties for 36 yards.
Yeah.
You guys have been really good in the penalty department this year, and it's a big improvement from last year. Why is that?
Well, I think the big thing, you know, is we really stress it. We stress it in practice. We invite the officials out as much as we can. You know, we have crews come out to as many practices as we possibly can. So, you know, they're getting coached up by the guys that are calling the penalties. You know, and I think that helps your player when they can sit there and say, well, this is what I'm looking for. You know, if you're in that body position, I'm going to flag you on that play. You know, it's not their position coach or another guy telling them, hey, that's a penalty. It's actually a guy in an official's uniform saying, you do that on Saturday night, it's going to cost you. You know, and I think that's where, you know, over the last 4 years, we've gotten better because we really increased that. Instead of just having them for one scrimmage, we invite them out as many times as we can. And so that was one big thing. But the thing that stuck out to me, and this was really the key of the whole deal for us on Saturday night, is you look at the 2 field goals. We held those guys to 2 field goals in the third quarter and the beginning of the fourth. One after a real long punt return where Jared actually makes the saving tackle, and we hold them, and then they get a 4th down conversion on the quarterback power, and we hold them right there to a field goal. Well, the cool thing about that and the interesting thing was after both field goal stops, those led to touchdowns on our end. And so it was a 14-6 ball game. If it's 14-14 there and those guys score 2 touchdowns, even if we score, we're on the losing end of that deal. And so that's where the defense, I was really excited with those guys yesterday, and you know, just told them how big those 2 plays were, because those 2 stops led to 2 touchdowns on our offensive end where it would have just been a balancing act and we'd have been behind on the score differential. So that was a really neat thing for those kids.
This is probably one of the better quarterbacks you're going to see. This guy seems like every week Perez is putting up.
Yeah, I think so. You know, we kind of knew going in this was going to be the quarterback stretch, you know, coming off a Midwestern's guy and Perez.
Right.
I think it's a little different. You know, they've got a big tight end that's real functional, that does some good things, and 2 real good perimeter players also. And you know, they're built in that same style. You know, they're not going to say they're an air raid type base, but they still are, with May over there running it and things like that. And so, you know, they're just going to be a little bit bigger up front with their O-line and some things that they've done.
What was the mindset at the half? You guys had a big lead and they got that late score up toward the end of the first half. What did you talk to the guys about?
Well, the funny thing was, it was you know, you felt really good because, you know, you get the ball with, it's 21-0 with 4 minutes to play, and then all of a sudden you look up and you're going in at 1 minute mark and it's 21-14 and you're going, holy smokes, what the heck just happened? You know, my whole deal at halftime was, you know, we talked all week about that they were going to push the envelope and they were going to be able to come back, you know, and that we were going to have to answer. And you know, we had some good talks. Keith Knoll came in on Friday night and had some really good words of wisdom for the team. And then our faculty member of the week, Matt Jackson, he's the head of our engineering department. He came over and he talked about riding his bike. That the first 2 or 3 miles, there's always a lot of people that are a lot better on the bike than he is. But that 280th mile, 290 mile, and the 299 mile as you're closing the end, he's usually better than those other guys. And so that was really kind of our whole thing going into the week, was who's going to ride the bike longer and harder, you know, and who's going to play longer and harder. And so that's what I was really pleased with our kids, because the third quarter wasn't great offensively, but it was really good defensively. And they made some really key stops and got the ball back for us, and then all of a sudden we got going again offensively, and it was a good group to see. But they just stayed consistent even through some of the bad stuff.
Back-to-back wins, your young team is gaining a lot of confidence. It seems like at the right time.
No, it really is. You know, and we've talked about that all year. That was, you know, you're going to have to weather some of the bumps and bruises, and I think that was more to the assistant coaches. You know, that some of these guys have never been in that moment. You know, they don't understand what that moment. You know, like Jared, he's never been on a, you know, playing a number 4 team in the country where we're dependent on him to do some of the stuff that he had to do. And even a guy like Devon, you know, Devon's been in some big games and some things like that, but now all of a sudden he is the focal point. He's got to make the tough run when it counts and make the conversion. And so some of those, even our receivers, some of those growing pains, you're starting to see them get less and less, and you're starting to see them improve. And what I really like, though, is just the team. I love the team chemistry. I love the way they're playing together. They're working together. Our freshmen all the way up to our seniors, it's just it's a great group to be around.
Regional rankings come out Wednesday. I know that's out of your hands, destiny-wise. Does it feel good to know maybe this is what we have to do?
Well, we talked about that right after the Kingsville game. When we didn't play real well after the Kingsville game, the whole deal was, I told them, I said, well, you guys have entered the playoffs right now. If you want to play in December and November, you've entered the playoffs. And we talk about that in October all the time, that if you want to be a playoff team, you got to win in October. And so our guys know. Our guys know if you drop a game, and that goes all the way back to 2013 when I took over, that when we got beat by Eastern New Mexico that night, you entered the playoffs, and we got beat by Tarleton that year. You guys entered the playoffs. You got to find a way to win out and then keep it going. And so I think that's where college football players are a little different. They all know, it doesn't matter what level you play at, you got to win every week. There's not an 18 playoff at the end, and you don't have a divisional playoff or any of that. You got to make a tournament bracket, and every game's important for you. So it's not a deal where you can sit there and go, we can, like last night, those two guys are talking about, we tied last night, so that tie kind of helps us. It's none of that. I mean, we got to win, and the kids know it, and I think the players like it. I think the players like that challenge also. So it's a lot of fun.
Would you rather be that cut and dry for your team's sake? To hey, we have to win every week, or is it? Or is it not hard to get these guys ready?
No, I think the college football. These guys watch TV. They watch College Game Day. They know last weekend that Alabama and A&M are playing, and A&M needs to beat Alabama to have a shot to get into the playoffs. Our kids know that. They're not like boxed up, or they don't kind of understand the football landscape. They know that if they want to get into it, they got to probably get 8 to 10 wins. To get into a playoff. They also know that their strength of schedule is going to be one of the toughest ones in the country, and so that actually helps them. We don't shy away from it. We use that, in recruiting. We use that in building our team every year. That, it's going to be a tough schedule, but towards the end of the season, hopefully, it gives you a little bit of character and something to build on. So, no, I think it's good. I think it's good for the players to know. But I think the most important thing for the players to know, it's just about going out and practicing. The wins. When you say win, I mean, that's such a final deal, but in all reality, it's what do they do Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. That's the most important stuff, because that's the win's just the residue of the hard work that they put in, and so we don't talk about the win. I mean, that's what's the funny thing is we don't talk about that. We talk about, all right, this is where you're at, this is what the standard is, this is what you're going to have to do to accomplish it, and then can you go to work, because that was our whole message yesterday was, can you fill the gas tank and get ready to go play, because everybody's tired. I mean, we're week 9 right now. Everybody's tired. Our coaches are tired, players are tired. We've been doing this since August 8th. So, you can't worry about that. You just got to go get excited about what you're going to do on Tuesday.